Hey there, we're back again, and we're continuing to talk about discipleship, discipleship through the lens of peace and power, discipling the whole person for the whole world, talking about the peace of Jesus Christ to change our lives and the power of the Holy Spirit to change the world around us. We're talking about how to disciple the whole person. And it's interesting to look at the great commandment along this way. As we talk about the whole person, what does that mean? What does it mean to be a whole person? What are the parts? What are the pieces of the part? And let's look at some of these verses as we look at that. This is the great commandment to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. That's how it's phrased in Mark 12:29 through 31. Matthew has it phrased a little bit differently. Deuteronomy 6:5, where all these are referencing in the Hebrew text in the Old Testament, has it phrased a little bit differently than that. And then the love your neighbor part legitimately comes from Leviticus 19:18. Now, the interesting thing is, as Deuteronomy was originally written in Hebrew, and then as Jesus said these things in Aramaic, and then as Mark and Matthew wrote them down in Greek, to Matthew being probably to more of a Jewish audience, and Mark being more to a Greco-Roman audience, the idea of what made up a person in the philosophical worldviews of all these ancient Hebrew, current Jewish, and Greco-Roman worlds kind of adapted. The language was able to be adapted into the worldviews. So the basic idea is love the Lord your God with all of you. And here are the pieces that all of you make up. Now, it's interesting to see this as this is brought into a modern context. Dallas Willard does this fascinatingly in his book, Renovation of the Heart. Dallas Willard is both a Baptist preacher and a world-class philosopher. And in his book, Renovation of the Heart, you see him divide the person into these 6 categories. And these 6 categories have counterparts within the scriptural text, within the Great Commandment. He says the choice and the will, the part of us that makes up decisions, that is most comparable to the heart. And then he would look at the thoughts and the mind, the thoughts as the mind, and then the feelings as part of the soul. The body is obviously the strength, and our social context is how we love our neighbors. He adds a 6th part, the spirit or the soul, reusing that word, and that is what organizes all these people into a whole person. How do we engage as a whole individual through our choices, our thoughts, our feelings, our body, and our social context? How does that coalesce into one singular person? Looking at this, Dallas Willard would say a disciple has a God-empowered will that makes choices to control our thoughts, which then drives our feelings to circle back again to help us make godly choices with our bodies within our social context. To kind of look at this as a flow chart, we would see this. Our choices engage our thoughts, which engage our feelings, which then again helps us make even more godly choices. And as our mind is going through the choices, thoughts, and feelings, that then puts us in a position to make good decisions with our body, and our body places us well within social contexts. A well-discipled person has all of these pieces working together in harmony as they follow Christ. So as we look at the peace of Jesus Christ to change our lives and the power of God to change our world, this is a whole person sort of idea that needs to engage our wills, our thoughts, our feelings, our body, and our social context, both inwardly and outwardly.